What's good, YouTube? Jonathan Moore here, and I am joined by Warren Younger, who you saw in our tournaments play Yang Zings, and many people asked for his deck list after seeing him beat the reigning, defending, undisputed national champion of the United States of America, Noah Green. So,
What's up, guys?
no pressure there. Let's get into some Therio and your deck list.
All right, so pretty much this deck is a take on Yang Zings. Everybody has an understanding that Yang Zings are, pretty much a slow deck that floats, and because they're slow, they haven't really been, have an impact on the meta. Well, this is a very turbo-based Yang Zing deck that instead of playing the grind game, I try to end the games on turn 1 or turn 2. So getting into the deck list, it's very critical that you play a certain amount of Yang Zing cards because your main goal is to open GL2 turn 1, and there's a lot of ways to do it thanks to Skyris. So we play the 2 Beyond, 2 Bixie, and 2 Sawani as your standard just Yang Zing monsters. Essentially, what they do is that they just give you names to discard and give you a Yang Zing to destroy with Skyris to get you to GL2. We also play the 6 Yang Zing tuners because they're absolutely necessary. I've always thought that when the Pendulum mechanic came out, that any deck that would be able to use the Synchro mechanic, just because when you Synchro summon with Pendulums, they go to the extra deck, having like that Soul Charge once per turn, but having facilitating Synchro plays would be just like very strong. And I think this is like the first deck that's going to be able to do it. So you play 3 Chi-Wen and 3 Jiao-Tu. For people that know, I guess, should I explain like what Yang Zings do to people that don't know?
I think most of them can look it up.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so essentially when she wins in your graveyard, when a Yang Zing's destroyed, you can special it from your graveyard, but it's banished when it leaves the field, which is very handy when you pitch off Jiao-Tu because it facilitates more combos. And then Jiao-Tu is the star of the show. Jiao-Tu, when he's the only monster in your field, you can discard 2 Yang Zing cards. It doesn't have to be monsters, like you can discard Yang Zing Path or your other Yang Zing Pendulum monsters. But when you discard 2 new special, a Yang Zing from your deck with 0 attack and then 1 from your deck with 0 defense, and he gets your combo plays facilitated. I also play the 1 Tuodi. He's there because he's a dark monster for a lure. But besides that, like most people before this that were playing Yang Zings play just the Pulak because you can almost summon off Skyris. But what I've found is that you just want to play as many draw cards as you want because if you get to Jiao-Tu and scales, you're going to win the game. So it's very important to play so many draw power cards. So that's it for the Yang Zing monsters. 13's pretty solid. I don't think I would cut anything. It's definitely the best ratio for Yang Zing monsters. Onto the Pendulums. I play the 1 Eccentric. I used to play it 2 in the main deck, but essentially it's very good. You want to like essentially see 3 going second, but you don't want to. You want to see it going second, but you don't want to see it going first. So I used to play 2 to like just because I lost die roll to see it because it is MST. But it doubles as a high scale in this deck, which is very important. But you only play the 1. I side 1 the main deck 1. It's pretty. It's all right. The 2 Odd-Eyes, the reason why you play 2 instead of the 1, because most Zephyr builds will only play 1 Odd-Eyes and 1 Unicorn and then 1 Monkey Board. But to play 2, because in my version, you have the lure, and it's very critical to have the Dark Monster discard off the lure. The Monkey Board's pretty explanatory. Monkey Board's very good. Search Unicorn. And Unicorn's the real reason why the deck's good now, just because it has a high scale that you can search off Skyris and not just a low scale, which makes it so you have less bricks, which is very good. We play the 1 Zephyr Core because it's dark and search off of Oracle Zephyr. And then the 3 Zephranu, best card in the whole deck. Be able to just Pendulum summon out like 2 Zephranius with like a Jiao-Tu and just have Boxy loops is just very strong. And then he nets you as Yang Zing or Zephyr Spell Trap when he's Pendulum summoned or destroyed, so it's very good. And he also doubles the Yang Zing name. He just does it all. And he's also a high scale, so just in a pinch if you need to have a high scale, you could just set him as a high scale. And then we play the 2 Zefraxi. He's very cool. I used to play 3, but I cut him for the second Odd-Eyes to make it a little more live. But what he does when he's Pendulum summoned or special from the main deck, he can target 1 Yang Zing or Zephyr monster and make it into a tuner until the end of the turn. So like sometimes it could unbrick hands just because if you don't open up a tuner, he can like make something a tuner, and which is very strong. And him being level 3 gives access to the certain like extra cards that you wouldn't normally have access to, like Metaphys Horus, which is very strong if you can make it with a Pendulum monster. The Pendulum line is good. You don't want too many because you just have a lot of cards that search them, and essentially the only Pendulum monsters you want to see besides Zephranu, because you need them for your combo plays, is like pretty much just Monkey Board, but you only want to see really 2 Pendulum in your hand. And with playing so much searchability cards and draw cards, I think 11's a pretty fine ratio. And then on the spells, the triple into the void. I stumbled upon this card when I was playing because I play a lot on Dueling Network. I'm like my name's Lambda Delta on Dueling Network. You might see me in high rated. But I stumbled upon this card when I was playing Gravekeeper Demise because I was just playing to play Royal Tribute Turbo because I was just being degenerate. But essentially, into the void, it's just a card that people. I think Jobber played it in his put forward deck at the YCS, and it's simply because like if you're going to end with 0 cards in your hand anyways because of cards like card demise, then you might as well just maximize out on other draw cards. And it's the same thing in this deck. You're going to end your hand with 0 because it's how the combo works, and then you end with like a Void Ogre. So instead the Void just makes plenty of sense in here as a replacement for Upstart because it got limited. So and it works wonders. It just gets you there all the time. And then I've also played 2 Allure. Now you might look at my deck and be like, well, there's not that many dark targets, but you have so many cards that search dark targets because your Skyrises and Oracles will literally search you a dark target whenever you need it. And then even if you have to banish a Jiao2 off Allure, which is fine because Skyris can get you to another Jiao2. So me and NY3 we created this deck like a year ago, and we've been trying to streamline it more and more whenever new cards came out. And we did the math. You have, I think it's a 1.8% chance to open a lure and not have a monster to banish off of it. Just because there's so much, you play the 3 Terraforming, the 2 Skies, the 2 Oracle, which gets you to any dark scale. And you also play the 3 Jiao2, the Tawodi, the Odd-Eyes, the Sepulchre. It's almost like never going to happen. And Allure works very well because it could like unbrick your hand too, which is very good. Like if you open up double Odd-Eyes, it's kind of like bad. But if you could Allure it like and discard Odd-Eyes and like draw a Yang Zing monster, then you're set. I main decked the Necro Valley. Essentially, there was just this 1 card slot that we just couldn't figure out what to do. So I just main decked the Necro Valley because it's just very, very good against the meta currently. It's awesome because you play the triple Allure and then you also have access to Ancient Fairy Dragon, which makes it so you can search pretty much any field spell you want. And Necro Valley being this very, very, very strong field spell, very, very good, and shuts down most of the meta. Very good against Cosmos, Extract Monarchs, just the main Monarchs, Burning Abyss, pretty much everything is like not Pendulums. And then the 2 Oracle, when you activate this card, you can search your deck for a Zephyr monster, so it's just like a mini Rhoda. But it also has an important effect that we do use in this deck. And whenever you use a Zephyr monster for Synchro material, you can stack 1 monster like Lava Wall Chain second effect. Stack 1 monster on top of your deck, which is very good because we play a card match deck that lets us abuse that. And he's also really good at stacking like a dark monster with a lure, so you always have an allure. You never will break the lure that way. Skyris doesn't make you Yang Zings this time. Very, very strong. It's the reason why you should play this deck, because essentially any Yang Zing will get you to Jiao2 as long as you have a Skyris. And Jiao2 being very, very strong, it's awesome. It searches you any skill you want, high or low. Search you a dark for a lure. It just does it all. The reason why I don't play 3 of it is because when I realized in testing is that because I'm playing so much draw power, it's a death sentence opening up any 3 field spells in opening hand. So with like the Terraformings, the Skyris and the Oracles, since Skyris and Oracle have like a hard once return clause, it breaks a lot. So I essentially just played 2 and replaced it with the Necro Valley. And you never I don't really miss the 3rd one at all, just because you're able to dig so deep in your deck to get it if you need it. The 1 Upstart mandatory. It's a combo deck. Play the Upstart. And then the last 2 cards in the deck is a Yang Zing Path, which is just like a Pot of Avarice type card. It's just good for the grind game, just in case you get to that point. But you target 3 Yang Zings from your graveyard, show up in the deck, draw 2 cards. So it's just recyclability. And you recycle your, because you go through triple Boxia turn 1. So it's just good to recycle out of Boxia back into your extra deck. And then the 1 Zephyr Divine Strike, which is Infernity Barrier for the deck. You search a lot of Zephranu, and it's part of the turn 1 3 negates combo, where you just bring out Harbinger, Void Ogre, and Divine Strike. And that's it for the main deck. Should I do side or extra next?
Go ahead with the extra deck since it's more core to the strategy.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, so the most important part in the extra deck by far is Boxia. You get to play 3 of it. Is because Boxia, not being a hard once return clause, allows you to essentially loop 3 Boxia in a turn, and then another level 8 Synchro on top of that, which is very, very strong. Essentially, you end the combo with a Harbinger, a Boxia, and a Void Ogre, and then a Divine Strike. And that's the standard combo if you open Jiao2, any 2 Yang Zings and Scales. It's a very, very strong combo that 3 negates that most meta decks, I would actually probably say all of them, have a very, very hard time, if not impossible time, getting through 3 back row. Well, not really 3 back row, but a Divine Strike, a Harbinger, and a Void Ogre. The only deck that has like actually like break that consistently is Burning Abyss, but it's not even that consistent either. They have to open pretty well to even break it. So 3 boxes, different mandatory. I play the Ancient Fairy Dragon. It's very, very strong. It actually, if you just open up like one scale and not both scales, Ancient Fairy can get you to the other one by getting your other field spell, which is very strong. It also goes to Search Necro Valley, and then its effect that where you get special monster from your hand actually comes up very often if you open up just like a handful of Yang Zings and a field spell, because you're able just to like search your field spell, search like a Skyrus, and then activate Skyrus, and then just special the Yang Zing out of your hand and destroy it, and just continue comboing off. It's a very, very strong card. The Chow Fang, which is very, very good. Essentially, if you don't know what Chow Fang does, whatever Yang Zing attributes you make it with, those effects cannot be activated from your opponent ever, like at all, like from hand, graveyard, field. It's just really, really strong. So like if you make it like with Dark against Burning Abyss, they have a hard time getting over it. But like sometimes you'll just have a like you'll special as a Franu into Fraxi, and you just make it with Earth just to have like a big monster on board. Because when he is destroyed, he does search you a tuner. So like if you like break hardcore, you just stick this on board, and then it's just a pretty good wall. The Crystal Wing, just because when she wins Graveyard Revive effect, having like a level 7 synchro like Ancient Fairy Dragon allows you to make something better, because obviously Crystal Wing is going to be like Ancient Fairy Dragon most of the time after you use its effect, and Crystal Wing being like a hard monster negate, it's very, very good. We play the Herald Arclight because you can make it very, very easily in this deck, and making it with Beyond and Chi-Wen makes it so it's battle immune, so like it's very hard to run over, and it's like auto winning its Mermails because they can't even activate their effects, and then it's very, very good against Burning Abyss. And what's really cool is that when you successfully synchro summon it, Boxia could revive it from the graveyard, because Boxia just states I could target 1 card on my field and 1 level 4 lower monster in my graveyard, destroy the first target, special the second. So like I could like keep reviving the Arclight over and over again just for a free negate every turn, which is very strong. I play the Chambara because it facilitates OTKs. I think in one of my rounds in the Zodiac tournament, I just simply saw an opening where I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I could just make Chambara and just OTK through. There's a play you could do it. I did it at YCS San Jose for Noise Round 9, where you make double Boxia and Chambara with this switch deck, which is Jiatsu straight up, and it's like 10,600 damage. Like that was the main problem with the Yang Zings before. It's just that they didn't really have an OTK play if they had a Jiatsu, but now they do, thanks to Chambara. The Ignister, because it's very easy to make Jiatsu and Safranu. That's what your main synchros are going to be anyways. And Ignister is sometimes just better than Boxia against like Pendulum decks.
I can imagine like people really don't see that play coming and don't set up around it.
Yeah, they don't like. It's just phenomenal play where they think they just have it because they just have like this board and I like make Boxia. It's very good as Magic Specters actually, like because their skills. I can just pop their skill and shuffle back a Magic Spectre, which is very strong. Like a Kieran, like if I try to bait it out and like I can't get over it, I can like shuffle it back and attack for like more damage. It's just a very strong card. Ignister I'd make fairly often, but anything that can't be targeted, and also it's a perfect out to Dark Destroyer. Because people think like, oh, this deck has a hard time getting out of Dark Destroyer, where I can just like make Ignister and just pop my own skill, shuffle the Dark Destroyer back. So it's just good for untargetable cards I could just power through, and it's very easy to make in this deck. Play the Metaphysics Forest. It doesn't come up too often, but it definitely comes up to enough where it deserves the extra deck spot. Because essentially, when you make it with the Pendulum monster, your opponent has to give you control of the monster permanently, which is very strong. I've taken Dark Destroyers in the past. I've even taken like Monarchs in the past. It's just very good. And then his other effect is that I could target 1 card on the field and negates effects permanently. Like back when Cliff Forts were kind of a thing with like Tower Turbo, like I could just negate for Scout, and they kind of just have a Scout there that just doesn't do anything, which is pretty cool. But Metaphysics Horse is a very strong option at the level 6 spot. You don't really make level 6 synchros very much, but when it does come up, it's pretty good. The Trish, it's like self-explanatory. Trish is very good. The Void Ogre, because you enter your hand for combo, and it's just a spell and trap negate every turn, and it's very strong. The Yazi, untargetable. He's Scrap Dragon. He's my favorite card in the whole extra deck. He's always has been. And then we get to Alce here. Now, the really cool thing with Alce, and this is just really, really sick, is because Unicorn came out and it being like a performer pal, and you're able to search out Monkey Board. What you could do if you don't have any skills is that you could synchro summon 2 Boxia, and then on an Oracle effect, because you use Zafrania for material, you stack the Monkey Board, and then you overlay for Alce and declare Monkey Board, and you excavate it, and you draw Monkey Board, and then there's your skills. So it's like it's pretty cool one card scale thing just to do with Alce. It's also just like somewhat legit removal because his other effect you could just declare wrong, you I think shuffle a card back. And he's 3200 defense, which is just a big wall. Just in case I need like a wall and like that's gonna survive. And then the Harbinger, because it's Harbinger, and any deck that can make Harbinger is playing Harbinger, just because it's that good. And that's it for the extra deck. Do side real quick.
Yeah, let's do the side.
Okay, yeah. So this deck has a very weird time side decking. Essentially, when I go first, I don't side deck at all. I literally side 0 cards. I was siding the 1 Necro Valley before just because it's just a thing I could just do. And sometimes I might decide like the zombie roll. But essentially in this deck, you trust your deck to get you the combo. Because in like breaking up any consistency going first, you don't want to do it. So you just trust your deck to do what it needs to do going first. So you don't side like any cards going first. But going second, you do side out. It's different. I side 3 Max C, going against any like special in deck. Because essentially like you could go off, that's fine. But if you're gonna give like this deck like 7 or 8 cards, like that's not you're probably gonna lose. So it's just a good deterrent to make them not go off, and if they do go off, it's better for you. The second eccentric for going second, just because it's a high scale that I could use for MST. The double dark hold and Raigeki, the triple MST, the zombie roll. The zombie roll is really cool, is because again the whole Ancient Prairie Dragon thing, because you're able to search it and you play 3 terraforming, is that it's kind of like works like Denko Sake against Magic Specters, because it makes everything zombie type monsters, so they can't even actually use their traps, because since they're no longer win spellcast type monsters, they're just win zombies. They lost out their back row, and it's fairly good against Monarchs, because that means they can only tribute with Erebus, because the card says it makes every monster in the graveyard and field a zombie type, and neither player can tribute some monsters except for zombie type monsters. So like they either have to have the Erebus or their card is locked out. So it's pretty good. It's actually like really good against Cyber Dragons, but that's kind of like irrelevant. But
yeah,
yeah. But like there's this guy I love who's played Cyber Dragons, and he tried to contact Fusion one time, and I'm like, nah, they're all zombies, man.
the DN Warrior. It also stops Dinoster.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're probably not putting it in against Pendulum.
Yeah, you just kind of stick out like both Necro Valley and it out against Pendulums. Pendulums is a weird matchup, but essentially if you go first, like, because I can just negate their skills, so like, it's an uphill battle, but that matchup is probably the most 50-50 matchup, because they just play like a lot of cards. If that's the deck where if they max see you, you're in trouble. Because other decks you can kind of like lock them out, you make like a chow thing, but with that deck, like you're only gonna have 3 like the gates, and they're gonna have a lot of pendulums in their hands, so it's gonna be hard. So and then I play the 2 Magic Deflector if I do feel like if I play against like Domain Monarchs, like that, like obviously Domain is the nail in the coffin for this deck, being Mash deck like base, but the Magic Deflector helps if I'm going first. I know I'm playing that deck, or if I'm going second, I could like just put him on wall up and just hopefully not die and then combo off. And then I side 2 extra cards. The Meteor Burst for like I'm pretty much just Burning Abyss and like Cosmos, just decks where like I need to just clear your monster and I don't want you to float. And it's pretty good. Second effect comes up a lot, because the second effect says I can target 1 monster in my Pendulum Zone, special summon it. So like if I was a friend of my special like Pendulum Zone and I need to get to the level asynchro, I don't have it, I could just like Pendulum it out. Oh, not Pendulum out, but special it. So it's kind of cute, but it doesn't really come up. But yeah, they're definitely for the battle phase effect. And then when I'm going against Burning Abyss, I'll switch out the Harbinger for Felgrand, because like Felgrand I think is just better going first. If I can make a rank 8, Felgrand against Burning Abyss is better. It'll stop the Terror Top, it'll stop the Tour Guide, it'll negate Rhino. It's just, I think it's just better against Harbinger. Unless they're like playing a kaiju version where they have like playing like Slumber, I just think Infinitely Felgrand just.
All right, I actually have to hurry this up because I have to get my door here in a second. But any shout outs at the end of this?
Huge shout outs to my homeboy NY3. He's a very, very prominent DN player. Like I said, we've been creating this deck since Crossels came out, both him and I. And a lot of theory I've bounced with him. It's very, very strong. shouts to my crew, Exile Force. They're just an AZ crew that we're just starting up. Hopefully we do well. And then shouts to Richard Glaze. He's the guy who he won the Tuscaloosa regional with this deck, playing a trap version. So yeah, him and Anwar are just like my big like Furio people. And then yeah, hopefully you see me at Nats, and hopefully hopefully I top.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
No problem.